Yo, what's up? Today I want to share my league starter build that I started Ancestor League, farmed currency by mostly doing bosses, and also I completed Atlas. I also did a lot of boss carry, so helped a lot of guys, so made some good currency while doing that. So this is a good tanky bosser character. Mapping is obviously not that good because this is a trap build, but you can easily do Blight and Expedition farm if you are interested in those kind of farms, or if you simply want to farm bosses like I did. Shaper farm is currently very profitable. For some reason fragments are super expensive, and the entry price of the sets still the same price, you know, like 40 chaos, something like that. The fragments were like 90 chaos yesterday, so ridiculous profit. Dying Sun is also still decent. So yeah, you can also get Starford. So yeah, cut to the chase, let's just start the build guide. So obviously we used to play Explosive Trap mostly on Saboteur, but right now after they reworked Saboteur Ascendancy, he is not a good choice for Explosive Trap because actually you lose DPS because Saboteur has some increased AoE nodes. So most people actually play Trickster, which is obviously a fine choice, but I actually enjoy Inquisitor builds a lot, and I'm also planning to do some higher budget Inquisitor builds later on, so that's why I started with that. So this was my league starter. You can just start with 0 currency. Maybe you haven't even started Ancestor League, so this might be a good build for you. I will also share leveling trees and a lower budget gear in the path of building. In the end, I haven't spent that much. We have some expensive pieces, but you should easily farm the currency in maps and shaper and finish the build in a couple of days. Anyways, so yeah, so Explosive Trap is a skill that has 50% physical damage convert to fire. We want to convert the rest to other elements. I chose cold damage. You can maybe play pure fire, it doesn't matter, because in the end we are gonna penetrate everything. So about the penetration, let's just also explain that. So Inquisitor normally has Inevitable Judgment, which makes you ignore enemy monster elemental resistances if you crit. Inquisitor easily can achieve 100% crit once you have enough gear. So this is a obvious choice for league starting and lower budget. But later on you may want to change this and get something else, because we will actually go for some penetration, and also we will reduce the bosses, enemies, elemental resistances. So that's going to be actually lower than 0, which means more DPS. Because ignore means you will actually hit the enemy as if it has 0 resistance. On the other hand, if you can have good penetration and if you can lower the enemy's resistances, you can actually go minus, which means more DPS. So in the end, Inevitable Judgment is not good, but it is also depending on your gear choice. So yeah, you will actually see why we got that later on. So yeah, league start, Inevitable Judgment. Later on, we don't want that. So be careful about that if you are following my talent trees, and also make sure you also change that once you have the higher budget gear. All right. So we want to convert the rest to cold or fire damage. I don't want to pay for Watcher's Eye because it was league start, so I actually use a glows with physical damage convert to cold damage, and also use the Ether of Exarch. What's that? Ether of Worlds, yeah. Currencies on the implicit, and to get some additional conversion. I actually had like 94% conversion because I used lower tier E-cores, embers, whatever they are called. So that's why I only had 10% conversion. So feel free to use bigger ones to get that 15%, 20%. Make sure you have 100% conversion. But I actually didn't feel like it, you know, it wasn't necessary. The build can easily skip phases on Shaper and Maven in like 5 seconds with this gear state. And this is actually not a full DPS build. I'm actually super tanky. So let's just also explain those. So yeah, make sure you have the conversion 100% or maybe at least 90%, because this is an elemental build in the end. So why is this build super tanky? Because it's an Inquisitor build. You will have Consecrated Ground around you all the time, which also lasts for 4 seconds. So if you are running around, make sure you use Flame Dash every 4 seconds, so you can actually refresh that Consecrated Ground. Because once you use Flame Dash, it actually counts as if you stopped for some reason. So that's why you can actually refresh that Consecrated Ground while running around the map. especially in shapers, add phase, you know. Once you skip phase, you need to run to the next phase. So yeah, that is very useful there. You can also use weapon swap and leap slam with some fast one-handed weapons. That is also a good choice. So regeneration, we also got a lot of regeneration on the talent tree. Some of our items also has life regeneration rate or flat regeneration. So let's check those. Helmet, easily crafted with only one single resonator, one fossil. Pristine, I guess. It's gonna be on the screen, you know, the life fossil. This took me like maybe 10 tries, alright? It is super easy to craft some life regeneration, those kind of helmets. You can use the same method on other gear pieces if you feel like it. Obviously, we will also use those currencies, Ether of World and Searing Exact, to finish our rare items. So these are the choices that I picked. You can also go for more DPS, alright? So already take a look at the gloves. So boots, again, life, regeneration rate, movement speed, resist. If you maybe need strength, intelligence, you can also go for those. I'm gonna explain it after this. So yeah, try to get those plus resistances, regeneration, life on your items. These are main stats for this build. So pump those regeneration and maximum resistances so you can actually be tankier. Because we cannot actually go for suppression, it is really hard on a Templar build. So we will focus on regeneration and resistances and those kind of mitigation. So let's explain our amulet, why this build, why you actually need to skip that ignore resistance later on. So leadership's price, this is probably the most expensive piece I'm using. So try to get something that has positive resistances because it can also has minus, which is obviously not good. So try to get something with positive resistances. If you are not familiar with this amulet, this is like one of the best build enabling, you know, DPS providing items in the game. You can have Scorching, Brittle and Stepping Conflux while your two highest attributes are equal. So in this case, because we are a Templar, we will have lots of intelligence and strength. In the end, you want to make sure that those are actually equal. The numbers doesn't matter. If you have like 250 intelligence, you need to have 250 strength. Simple as that. So right now in Ancestor League, this is actually really easy to do because we have tattoos. So we can actually erase some unwanted extra intelligence or strength. But manually, if you follow the exact talent tree, obviously, you will have a lot of intelligence. So in the end, I actually used a couple of tattoos to get rid of those intelligence nodes. And maybe if you still need like 5 strength, 7 strength, something like that, finish that up with cluster jewels or regular rare jewels, alright? So just balance those two attributes in the end. I will also put pictures of the tattoos I'm using. There is also going to be a breakpoints for Herald effect on the path of building. So try to achieve those next breakpoints for some additional Herald effects because there's actually a tattoo that provides Herald effect, Herald buff effect. Because this build uses Herald of Ash, which is good for DPS. So that is actually a good choice. Our rings are also Circle of Anguish. These are super cheap. If you still need fire resist, you can have something with that. Otherwise, Herald of Ash buff effect is your #1 choice, and Herald of Ash provides additional fire damage. By the way, these rings also have random implicits, so maybe you can get those additional dexterity, strength that you need, or other stats, regeneration, fire damage, crit multiplier, anything that works for the build. So feel free to invest some more on the implicits, because normally the rings are super cheap. Yeah. Other than that, let's also take a look at the weapon, I guess. There is nothing much else to explain. This is really simple, fairly cheap. League Start Bosser build. The weapon, this is a physical and fire spell. So on your weapon and shield, you may wanna get +1 physical spell skill jumps or +1 fire spell skill jumps. Spell damage, some maybe flat damage, crit multiplier. You do not need crit strike chance. You can easily cap it to 100. I don't even have a battle fate. I didn't invest on those. So yeah, it is easy to get crit. So crit strike chance is a waste of stat on your items. Because by using the leadership's price, we also use Brittle, which provides like flat 6 crit strike chance as a debuff, as an ailment. So it is super easy to cap your crit. You can also use some, if you have any suffix left on your maybe weapon, you can also use trap throwing speed, also on your belt, trap throwing speed, to make the playstyle faster, obviously. Other than that, finally, I also use a Balance of Terror, because Sanctum is right now in the core game. You can easily buy this. This is very cheap right now. So feel free to get this. This is one of the most powerful items right now again in the game. It's like the leadership's prize. This adds ton of DPS. After again you have leadership's prize, you start to penetrate monsters. Also we are going to use double curse, and our second curse is going to be elemental weakness for more penetration. And once you also cast this, you will have extra damage, physical as extra random element for 10 seconds. So here is how to use this. Before the boss starts, I couldn't talk. If the boss is like a Shaper or Cirrus, you know, they actually talk like 5 seconds, then the boss starts. You can actually throw all your traps, you know, get ready, pop Zealotry. It's gonna be a Divine Blessing setup. Throw a Bear trap, maybe use Wall, Righteous Fire, you know, get ready. You can actually use Elemental Weakness. Just cast it somewhere, it doesn't matter. The boss doesn't need to be present. So yeah, just use that and get that 10-second buff. Once the boss gets activated, the traps, you know, just goes like boom, and then use Elemental Weakness on the boss this time to have that curse, and again refresh that buff. So yeah, just pre-cast Balance of Terror, Elemental Weakness to proc Balance of Terror's damage buff before the boss even starts. So yeah, that is something that you should do to maximize your DPS. I think this is it. Really simple. Just follow the talent trees. Again, I will also have a leveling talent tree. Again, I actually leveled this character at league start with 0 currency. It is doable. But yeah, mapping is not very good because this is a trap build. But if you mainly want to focus on bossing to farm some currency, this is one of your best bets. And again, I actually focused on a lot of defenses. You can actually have maybe at least 30% more DPS if you skip some plus resistances, maybe some life, I don't know. You don't need those kind of stuff, especially on Shaper and Maven. If you want to do those kind of farms, you can actually focus on more DPS. That's it. Thanks for watching. I will have a farm video maybe this week, I guess, because right now I am actually trying something new, which seems to be working. I actually also noticed a lot of people doing that, but I'm not gonna tell what that is. Maybe leave a comment if you know what I'm doing. Alright, so I will see you later. Bye bye.